Hello, I'm Dwayne Dickens, and I'm here with Jabari Jackson, and we're going to have a conversation about the African American Student Success Team. Welcome, Jabari.
Thank you.
Jabari, I have a first question for you. When you think about activities that the Success Team did last year, what are some of your best memories of that year?
Well, I guess what I would say some of the events that happened, I guess all the ones that tied it together, like over the whole semester, because we always kept in touch with a lot of the other members. So I don't know which event I would say would be the best. I would just say probably a collective of all of them because, we kind of stay coordinated over the semester. So.
Okay. Now, when you think about your being an African American male at TCC, what are some of the challenges that you would say African American males face at TCC?
Well, a lot of different things, honestly. It really depends on the home situation. Maybe support system, friends, people to hang out with, trying to have, or knowing where to go to get questions answered. Because a lot of times when you go to school, if you think you know it all and you don't know, then, you might try a path and then it might not work out like that or work out well. So a lot of African Americans face that. And like I said, it's all about the community around them or the people around them, I guess.
Okay. And you mentioned, since we're focusing on African American males, do you see that there are specific differences related to African American males versus females? Since your answer spoke mainly to African Americans, but do you think that there are differences between the two groups?
There are some differences, but not a lot of differences. I think the same thing applies to where, it's about having a support system and the people around you. If you want to be successful, especially here at Tulsa Community College, you want to have people that's going to be there supportive of if you have to be the class or have to do homework, that don't want to take time to do other things, but actually want to take time to help you be successful. So it applies to both sides.
Okay. When you think of your past educational experiences, elementary school, high school, any other institutions you've attended, how did those influence your work at TCC?
Well, see, my background's a little bit different. I didn't go to elementary and middle school. I went to about a year and a half of high school. I was homeschooled. I worked most of my life. So whenever I came to TCC, it was a learning experience because I didn't have that background to kind of set me up or get me ready for going to college. Like I said, I barely went to high school. I didn't think it was something I wanted to do. I worked for family business my whole life, so working was something I took to, something I thought I would do. But when I changed my mindset to go to school, it was a learning experience in itself. So.
Okay. When you think of your past educational experiences, is there anything in particular that you think stands out to you as being very helpful or influential in making you successful?
Be prepared. Definitely be prepared. Try to get ahead in anything that you do in the class, because once you fall behind, you're too far behind in the first place. So that's my thing that stands out to me the most, is just be prepared, and because it's not really as hard as it looks as long as you prepare for what you have to do. So.
Okay. How would you define a college student who is successful?
Someone that's willing to spend the time, that's willing to be where they need to be around the information they need to be, someone who's willing to not close themselves off in the classroom if they're around other students, or if they have a community that's around them right in that classroom, doing some of the same projects. They're willing to communicate, shoot things back and forth with that student, maybe other teachers, because a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, where if you don't know, or you think you may know, you may think you have it, or you have a better understanding, but you don't have as good an understanding as it is to be successful in that class. So keep people around you that know or are working on the same thing as you are. So.
Okay. And when you think of yourself based on your definition of a successful college student, how would you define or compare yourself to a successful college student?
Getting there. I'm learning the things every day, and like I said, with not knowing the background and not having the understanding, it was things I'm still learning. Every day I get up, I learn something new. Every time I do a new project, I learn something new. So I guess with myself, it's just to keep an open eye, to keep growing in that direction to be successful. It takes baby steps to be successful, and that's one thing I learned. So I just keep moving forward, and as things fall into place, just keep an open mind and keep learning. So.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you've done in order to transition to being that successful college student?
Stayed on campus as much as possible. Kept myself around when I'm trying to learn, basically. if I want to learn something, you know, or need to research something, I kind of stay in that area. You know, once I leave campus, you know, I'm pretty sure it's like that with a lot of people where, you know, you kind of get distracted. So I kind of stay on campus a lot, you know, in the library, keep myself around the material that is needed. So I kind of at least have an understanding when I go in the classroom what I need to do.
Okay. And when you think of yourself as an African-American student, what are some of the most significant obstacles you face?
Significant. Well, a lot of different things. Life in itself, being was a non-traditional student, I guess, going back to school. I guess so to say, you know, changing my lifestyle outside of school to kind of support school itself, because I had to stop working full time to work part time. That's why I started working on campus, you know, doing a part-time job and so forth, to kind of arrange my life outside of school to help me better inside of school, because it does take a lot to have, you know, the time available to be able to study for classes, the time for the classes, and if I'm seriously considering transferring, you know, get the grade and the GPA where it needs to be. So I guess just looking at everything outside and inside of school and seeing how I can balance it out and rearrange it so that it'll benefit school. So.
Okay. And what are some of the, since we mentioned the obstacles, what would you say are some of the resources that you have found to be most helpful in helping you be successful?
Definitely having professors there like yourself, or, you know, being in organizations, someone that I can shoot the information to and you know, let the information bounce back, and maybe I might have a game plan or an idea and thinking that it may work and it may be a good plan, but then, you know, having someone there can be like, hey, well, maybe you should adjust it like this, you know, and keeping an open mind to, well, this is my plan, but plans do change a little bit as you go along. So, so that was a benefit for me, is, you know, having advisors around, always joining any organization that is willing to give you any kind of support, like tutoring or study time or anything like that. So that's those things I look for and encourage other people to look for, is, you know, if you're going to be on campus, I mean, you, like I said, you may think you understand the material and you can get it, but there's always ways for you to understand it better, I guess.
Okay. And when you think of the mentoring team that we have, if you could add something or change something, what would you change about the team to help you be more successful?
I guess opportunities to meet face to face, maybe have maybe an office or something where you have, you know, rotate, you know, mentors that possibly be there at different times, you know, just so that, you know, there's other students that I hang around, that I want to be around, to bring into the circle, that try to have the same positive mind frame, can kind of see, you know, sit down, because I can always tell somebody, yeah, come sit down with this professor, or come meet with his mentor, and they can be like, yeah, one day I will, you know, eventually. But it'd be easier if you had a spot where you could be like, hey, come with me right now, and we could just go, you know, and just go talk to them. And then that person can kind of relay the information to someone who's already in a position to say, hey, I can help you out a little bit. So then that person will think, well, okay, well, maybe I'm going in the right direction with this.
Okay, okay. If you could think about this last year, things that you did over this last year, if you could change one thing or change something about this last year, what would you change?
Now you say change, you mean like?
That's something that you did over the last year that you wish you had done differently. What would you change to make things where you're more successful?
Kind of, well, that's kind of a hard question. The only reason I say that is because it's always, each semester is a little bit different. Last year, I would probably say probably adjust my schedule a little bit better, to actually format times for study times, and format times in my schedule to take time for each class. I guess that would have made me a little bit more successful if I just took that time, or at least where, you know, I had good grades in my class, but at least have, like I said, a better understanding. I have understanding, but I would like to have a better understanding of subjects. So spending more time, I guess. Actually writing out a schedule. I learned that from my little brother, you know, get the day timer, fill out the spots, and actually, you know, try to look at it every other day, so that, you know, you can kind of have an understanding of what you have to do, and if you forget, you know, at least it's still there. So I guess schedule my time a little bit better. That's what I kind of could have done last semester that would have helped me out over that time. So. Okay.
So now I'd like for you to sort of put yourself in the shoes of a mentor, or as if you were your mentor.
Okay.
If you were to speak for what you think your mentor would say to you, what do you think your mentor would identify as obstacles that you face, or that people like you, African American males like you, would face at TCC?
Now, when you say as a mentor, like if he evaluated the situation, or as a whole? Like, you mean as a whole?
As a whole, what would if you were putting yourself in the shoes of your mentor, what do you think they would be looking at and saying, I think these are challenges that Jabari has to overcome, obstacles that he has to overcome in order to be successful?
Well, always know what your workload before, and kind of balance it out. Like I said, plan, be prepared for the class schedule, be prepared for the what ifs. You know, if car breaks down or something happens to keep you from school, you know, be prepared for school in general. You know, probably will tell you to, you know, before the semester, some of the things you may face, some of the things to look for. Just like I said, just to be better prepared.
Okay. Okay. Considering the mentoring activities over this last year, what would you suggest if we were wanting to make it available to this program, available to all African American males or more African American males? What would you do to make this more available to African American males so that more of them could have an opportunity to interact with the team?
Now, you mean when you say more outside of the school, or
primarily
like
within TCC?
Finally.
Or what would you do to make the team more effective in helping students be successful at TCC?
I guess have more events or eye openers, I would call them. You know, something that, you know, would attract people to actually take the time to look at the information and see what's available, because a lot of people overlook it or walk by it. I would, like I said, have like different events through the group that we can invite other people to maybe sit down and talk to some of the mentors, or at least having a better understanding of what goes on in the organization.
Okay. And we're also working on adding additional mentors other than African American males to the team. And so when you think of maybe females or non-African Americans being mentors, what advice would you offer to them so that they could successfully help African American males?
Keep an open mind. Whenever each person is a different situation, just like, you know, when you're dealing with any other student, you know, you meet a person, you get a little, you learn that person a little bit by, you know, discussing or having conversation with that person. So case by case, you know, keep an open mind with every student you deal with, that, you know, you're dealing with a student, you know, they could have a different background than the last student. So kind of just keep an open mind to how you deal with that person.
Okay. And what would you offer as advice for the African American male students who are being mentored by a non-African American male mentor?
It really doesn't matter who mentors you, as long as somebody's there to mentor you or be there for you. I really want to look at the person and judge the person like by, okay, you're in this organization, but you're not African American, but you're here to help. So I would look at it, and I would just encourage anybody to keep an open mind, because anybody willing to help is a positive person in your life. So then go with it, I guess.
Okay. And okay, so thinking about teachers, staff members at TCC and the different interactions you've had, what would you offer as advice to teachers and staff at TCC so that they could help African American males be successful?
That's also a good question, because a lot of times, like I said, it's case by case, but almost like the advisors, I guess, keep an open mind to the students, you know, because I notice a lot of times it's not necessarily being stereotypical or anything like that, but when you deal with a lot of students that act a certain way, you start to, you know, maybe group students together. So I guess case by case, you know, you can kind of see when you interact with a student which direction they're coming from. So keep an open mind and just see what the student's willing to offer, you know, and you can kind of see as you deal with that student where you fall in to help them out, I guess.
Okay. Now, let's presume that you had an opportunity to sit down with the president of the college, and he said to you, Jabari, what would you suggest that I change or do at TCC to help African American males? What would you tell the president?
That's a long list. I have a lot of ideas that probably could help, but, you know, there's all ideas and not really anything that I know can be implicated at this time. But I guess if he was willing to help African American males, I would, like I said, kind of like what was a combination of everything I said with the mentors and the teachers, keep them open mind and have, you know, possibly have events or have things that you can have where the students can gather. Because if they see it firsthand, then they have a better understanding to be willing to take part of it. Because just because someone speaks it to them or says, hey, this is a good opportunity, doesn't mean they're going to take that opportunity. It's kind of like if you're dealing with a family member, you know, a family member may tell you one thing 100 times and you're like, yeah, you understand. But when somebody else sends you that same information, you might overlook it a little bit better and be like, okay, this could benefit me. So I would tell them that, you know, keep an open mind to any and every possibility to gather students to give them the information.
Okay. So you sure you don't have anything else to say to the president if you said I have a long list of strategies?
Well, I mean, when I say long list, it's just like ideas to, you know, stuff that would get students interested in, you know, transitioning. You know, you come to Tulsa Community College in hopes to go to a university or hopes to go to the next level in education. And with African Americans, I think that a lot of times it is sports is used in, you know, making that transition, but when they come to a Tulsa Community College or a community college in general, it's okay, I'm here, but there's they don't have sports programs and stuff like that, so they lose track of some of the things that they look forward in that next level. But maybe, you know, programs generated to kind of work alongside with the athletes that are taking a moment to transition through a community college to go to the next level, to keep them prepared and keep them ready to be able to go to the school. Because if they come from a community college, a local student comes from a local community college and go on to a local school, that's only benefiting the educational community, I think, and it benefiting the community itself. So what I would suggest is, like I said, things that ties in the interest of African Americans and also where they plan on taking their lives, I guess.
Okay. And if you were talking to another African American male, such as your brother, cousin, best friend, entering TCC, what advice would you give to that male to be successful?
Just a little bit of what I've been speaking about, the mentors and everything like that as well. They got to keep an open mind when they walk into school to be prepared. I tell my brother that all the time. You know, focus on the class. You know, worry about the GPA because it depends on what the student wants after he leaves. And my brother wants to go to another university or go to a university. So I always tell him, I'm like, you can't baby step and plan on going to university. You got to be prepared. You got to go to the classes. You got to get the education. You got to get the time under your belt. So when you go off to that school, you're prepared there, because that's what the Tulsa community is for. It's getting you ready to, you know, to further your education. So I'll tell any student, you know, keep an open mind. It's not as hard as you think. A lot of times you look at it and you're thinking, oh, maybe that's not for me, but give it a try. You know, it's just like anything else. You make a habit. You try 21, you do it 21 times, it becomes a habit. So keep trying it out, stick to it, and before you know it, it becomes a part of you. So.
Okay. And so you tell your brother, your cousins, or whomever that they will use that education to go somewhere. Where is your education going to take you?
Well, I'm not sure at the moment. I'm still looking at different options. I've got accepted to Oklahoma State. I actually got accepted for the fall, but I decided to stay another semester at Tulsa Community College. What I'm going to do over the next semester is fill out a couple of applications for a couple of different schools, maybe out of state, just to see what my options are. More than likely, it looks like it's going to be Oklahoma State. As I've been wanting to go to Oklahoma State for quite some time. I've toured the school twice. But I just, you know, as I build my resume here at the school and get my GPA where it's supposed to be, I just want to see what my options are to further my education.
Okay. Was there a question that you just knew I was going to ask and you came prepared to answer?
Not yet, because the reason is because I kept an open mind for the answer. So it's one of those things like I don't want to sound too rehearsed on anything. So I just, like, when I figured out I was going to be interviewed in this style, I was just like, just go with the flow.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're finished. Thank you, Jabari.
Thank you.
Okay.